Dolphins take on the Commanders early tomorrow morning in Madrid. And on today's show, we're going to answer the latest questions before this Week 11 matchup. We're going to start off with our good old friend Nate Brown on our Thursday live show. Do you think Ifeatu Melifonwu could get better over time for us after the interception he had against Mr. Wash, Josh Allen? Josh Allen certainly is not washed. It was a good play. The Dolphins are certainly playing much better defensively. They've been a top half defense in the NFL from week 7 on after being the worst defense from weeks 1 through 6. Melifonwu has improved. I think it has been large in part because Miami has been able to really rotate their secondary members, playing Minkah Fitzpatrick in the nickel. Melifonwu certainly has been getting better. I can't say with confidence that I would want Ifeatu Melifonwu back next year. Remember, Miami signed him to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal this offseason in free agency. Did that with Ashton Davis. Maybe Miami brings him back on a 1-year deal. I wouldn't hold my breath, and I wouldn't be pounding the table for it because he hasn't been good enough to this point. Could he get better the rest of the year? Absolutely. I'm not putting it past him. I just don't think it's very likely because I've seen more bad than good early this season for Melifonwu. I mentioned it. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be live for Dolphins Commanders, the Madrid game here tomorrow morning. We'll be live at 8:30 Eastern time. Yeah, it's early. 7:30 Central time for Week 11. This is our thumbnail, so if you see it, it means we're live. Click on it and join us tomorrow. Saucy with a question. Do you think the Dolphins should trade down in the draft and build draft capital? I mean, I get this question so often, and I answer it the same way every time. You just can't project these things, man. You can't do it. You have so many different things that have to occur for you to ultimately trade down in the draft. You have to find out where you're picking, because if you're picking number 1, why would you trade out? Take the best player, which is likely a quarterback. But if you're picking 4, what if one of your top quarterbacks on the board in Simpson or Mendoza slides to you there? No, I can't tell you must trade down and answer that now. And there's just so many moving parts here. Is it a good idea to build up your draft capital by trading down when you need to add so many things to the roster? Yeah, it's a good idea. But there's just so many moving parts. You got to know where you are in the draft. You got to know what prospects are on the board when you are picking. And you got to know and have a team looking to trade up. And it has to be a trade up that makes sense for you so you don't move too far back in the draft and you get enough draft assets for what pick you are moving back from. I mean, there's just way too many moving parts to answer that in absolute of yes, they need to trade back. We could have a larger conversation on it when the season concludes and we're talking about the draft in March and early April. But in November, you can't say that you have to move back because you don't know what is happening from now until that point. Tyson Bryant with a question. Would you be down for Marcel Reed, next quarterback? Believe in him and HN were teammates. That is not correct. They were not teammates at Texas A&M. Triple option between him and HN and Ollie Gordon would be deadly. Now, I don't disagree with the notion that a triple option between Marcel Reed, Devon HN, and Ollie Gordon would be elite. Now, Marcel Reed is not eligible to come out of the draft this season. He is. He's not getting any NFL draft buzz, so I don't think Marcel Reed will come out of the draft, but he has certainly been playing high-level football for Texas A&M. He's as athletic as it gets. He's got good arm talent. I don't think he's a guy that will come out of the draft. I mean, Coop, you can agree with me here. He is certainly going to go back another year and try to hone in on his craft and develop. Listen, I don't want to get stereotypical here, but maybe you could see like a Jaden Daniels level rise because Daniels transferred from Arizona State to LSU, had a good but not great first season for LSU, and then the next year absolutely popped off, won the Heisman. Could that be something Marcel Reed does? Absolutely. He's in the top 5 of the Heisman conversation right now. So if he returns to Aggie land next year and balls out and wins the Heisman, he could absolutely be going in the top 3 or 5. So this year, Marcel Reed, no, but absolutely intrigued with him. If you wait to draft a quarterback in 2027, he could absolutely be a riser. Similar body structure to Jane Daniels, too. Tall, skinny, lengthy, super athletic, good runner of the football. I think there is a lot of similarities there. certainly not as accurate and as good as a thrower as Jayden Daniels is, at least at this point in his career. Dolphins Commanders tomorrow. I think the Dolphins hammer Commanders. You're asking me questions. I'm asking you one right now. Confidence level in Miami getting a win in Madrid against Washington on Sunday. I'm going 9.4. Let me know yours. Ryan with a question. If Miami was to move on from Tyreek Hill, not if, they will, by the way, would you like to draft Nyck Harbor, the South Carolina wide receiver, to complement Jalen Waddle? He's tall, athletic, and has sprinter speed, or maybe even trade for A.J. Brown. Well, let's start with the Nyck Harbor discussion here. He's about 6'5", 220, and he runs a 4.3 40. So he's absolutely freakish when it comes to his athleticism to physical profile. But the issue is he's not very good. I mean, it's just really funny. Like, he has really never had a good season to this point in his career. Obviously, the physical tools are there, and you might take a flyer on him in the 5th or 6th round, but he's certainly not a guy you're going to draft in the first 3 rounds of the draft and project as a impact player for you long term. But in day 3, I would take the flyer on Nyck Harbor. And when it comes to trading for A.J. Brown, although he would be a very complimentary player to Jalen Waddle due to his size and physicality and ability to make plays down the football field like Waddle can, that's a no for me. Because if the Eagles trade him this offseason, which I do think is very likely, by the way, they are going to probably try to get a second-round pick in return. I don't think with that contract, which is very expensive, over $30 million per season, and his age, they're going to get a first-round pick in his career, especially with the off-the-field diva type of traits that he has. I don't think that they're going to get a first. But if you're Miami, I don't think you trade a second-round pick to get him anyway, because are you willing to pay $30 million per season for A.J. Brown? No, if you cut Tyreek Hill, you're saving $36 million, and you're going to utilize that money to address other needs in the secondary, on the offensive line, and the defensive line. I don't think you should move on from a $30 million wide receiver to add another. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Moving on here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better on Prize Picks, and the weather is changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. They put their users first. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. I have an entry for tomorrow morning's game. More than Devon Achane receiving yards, more than Marcus Mariota interceptions, and less than Tua Tagovailoa pass attempts. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. WFAM. Dolphins, should they draft LaNorris Sellers if no Fernando Mendoza? Once again, certainly depends on where Miami is drafting. If they are picking inside the top 5 and Mendoza goes number 1 overall and Sellers is there at 5, probably going to pass. I like Sellers a lot. I've said that he's my 3rd quarterback on the board, but that means number 3, means there's someone's higher. I would rather have Ty Simpson from Alabama over LaNorris Sellers. Simpson's accuracy, arm strength, and movement inside the pocket is as good as it comes. And I'll say this right now. I think Ty Simpson is more NFL ready than Fernando Mendoza is. I just have Mendoza's ceiling a little bit higher due to his mobility, his arm talent, and his physical stature, being 6'5", 220. But Simpson has been phenomenal for the Crimson Tide this year, and I love what he's been doing in that offense. There's no guarantee any of those 3 come out. I do think Mendoza goes to the draft, but no guarantee Simpson or Sellers do. I think Sellers actually is going to go back to school. I've really grown into this belief more and more over the past couple of weeks that he goes back to school, transfers to a better university than South Carolina. I should say better program, not university. And ultimately tries the ball out in his final year in college and utilize those physical attributes and better production and better tape into a better draft pick. Because right now, I don't think LaNorris Sellers would go outside of the – I think he would go in the first round. I don't know if he would go inside the top 5, though. I think he would go between 5 and 15. Should Miami take him at 10 if it's where they're picking? Maybe. But I would certainly rather have Mendoza or Simpson. But I'm not scared away from Sellers by any means. Hit that sub button if you missed out on our mailbag opportunity. Well, make sure you subscribe because we're live on Mondays, we're live on Thursdays, and we're live on game days. And we do Q&As from time to time on those Mondays and Thursday live shows. So subscribe and join us. Also turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Neil's with a question. What do you think about re-signing Kader Kohou after the season when he recovers from his knee injury? I think I would be all in on Kader Kohou being re-signed. I really like that idea, actually. And I kind of talked about it earlier in the week when highlighting Juju Brents' strong performance against the Buffalo Bills. But if Brents continues to play well the rest of the year, I would like to bring him back on a one-year deal. I would also be fine extending Jack Jones right now on a one-year deal and making him locked up going into the offseason and have him return. Because, like, if you ultimately brought back Kader Kohou, who is a very above-average nickel corner, one of the best in the NFL, actually, and you brought back Juju Brents, you brought back Jack Jones, your corner unit next year would then hypothetically be Kader Kohou, Juju Brents, Jack Jones, and Jason Marshall Jr., the fifth-round rookie. And then you go out and sign, draft, or trade for a corner that could be your CB1. So you have that CB1 you add in the offseason, whether it's draft free agency or trade market. And then you have Juju Brents, Jack Jones as your CB2, 3. Kader Kohou is your nickel specialist. And then Jason Marshall Jr. as cornerback 4. I think it's a pretty solid cornerback unit. I really do think it's a average at best unit or average at least unit after what we've seen so far this season from what Miami's had. So, yeah, I would be all in on bringing Kader Kohou back in the offseason. And it's going to be a cheap deal as well because he's coming off ACL injury and he was not being paid that much prior. So I don't think the contract's going to be that high. Cameron, since this year's draft was so trench-heavy, do you think we will look to draft for the upcoming season? How do you think we will draft this upcoming draft, I should say? Oh, because we drafted so trench-heavy. Gotcha. It took me a second to follow there. Well, here's the truth of the matter. I think we go right back to the trenches. Let's just be real here. Kenneth Grant and Jordan Phillips have played a lot better over the last month of the season. And I'm not saying Miami's going to go out and draft interior of defensive linemen again. But should they draft edge rushers and offensive linemen? Absolutely. I mean, Jonas Savionaya has been a bust so far. He's been absolutely putrid. And there's a chance that he's not starting for this football team in 2026. And with Austin Jackson continually being injured, only 1 year left on his deal, I am very much open to moving off of Austin Jackson this offseason, whether it's a trade him away or cut him in early March, in February. And then if you do that, you should be looking to draft an offensive lineman in the first round to be that starting right tackle, whether it's Spencer Fanu, Kane Proctor, Francis Mayagawa. But also, when you look at the edge room, Bradley Chubb is not long for this organization, and Chop Robinson is the only other young guy you have. So you need to add a lot of young talent in that edge room. So I do think if you had to ask me what positions the Dolphins target the most in the draft this next April, I think outside of quarterback, it's going to be offensive tackle, edge, and corner. Those are the top 3 in my opinion. The 3 biggest positions of need heading into the offseason for Miami is going to be offensive tackle, edge, corner, and quarterback. Those are the 4. All right, I'll do it for today's show. As we said, make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, and join us for our Week 11 stream. Dolphins Commanders Sunday morning, bright and early, coming out you from Madrid. Me and Coop will be here, so subscribe and join us.